No pun intended. We are live here on
Always
Facebook.
good to be live.
Yes. This is the Park Right Here podcast with Katrina and
Tom, this is my thing. I wave.
yes. I'm
So
sorry you haven't seen
we
me
got to
for a
start
little
off a
bit.
little bit different because for all those baseball fans out there, the Cubs are playing spring training already. Go Cubs.
That's my
Okay.
hubby's favorite.
Now I'm going to cover myself up because I grew up in Chicago, south side of Chicago. And what was nice is when I was in grade school, the Cubs did not have lights. So every home game was a day game. We'd get out of school, the bell would ring, and we'd run home to watch the Cubs. So my Cubs are the 69 Cubs, 69 plus or minus a few years. Those are my Cubs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd probably be about my husband's too. Well, no, because he was born 68. So
Yeah, so 69 would be a little young for him.
yep.
So as Katrina said, we're just going to talk about question. If anybody out there in TV land wants to throw us something to discuss, we'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, I think we should just bring ourselves current as what we've been doing lately on behalf of the Parkinson's community. We work for
Yeah,
you.
I do have a couple things coming up. I am going to Roanoke, which is about 2.5 hours from here, from the mountains. It's the biggest city, and I put that in air quotes.
The biggest
It's the
what?
biggest city to me. I put
Oh,
that in air
city.
quotes. Yeah, I put that in air quotes because it's not, not really a city, but it's a city. um, and I'm going to their support group, and I'm going to be the guest speaker for the day. I don't know, I
Oh,
have
cool.
no clue what I'm going to speak about, but I'm also bringing some Davis Finney stuff. I'm glad because I broke my pinky toe on my right foot because I have like I don't know how many Davis Finney boxes I have up against my husband's dresser, and when I was taking the turn, and I keep hitting my foot on that box, and I broke my pinky toe. I have a guest with
So
me
every
today.
victory counts, doesn't count.
Yeah, Noel, my stinky dog. If you hear him in the background, I apologize.
I heard him earlier. So how long do you talk for? What's your time limit?
This will be my first talk actually, where I'm the only speaker. I've had most of my events have been just me and the table and talking one on one.
Right.
This is the first time I'll be a guest speaker, so I have no clue.
I find the shorter the speaking time, the harder it is because you have to be concise. And the longer the time, it's not as hard because you can speak in more generalities.
Right. Um. So, however long they want me, and then another one is a round table, kind of a round table discussion.
Hmm.
At the same center, the park. It's called PARC. It's Parkinson's Activity and Wellness Center. It's in Charlottesville, Virginia. They invited me to do a round table with them. I'm doing that in April. So
No,
that's
good.
my excitement. I'm trying to do whatever I can. Do you have anything coming up?
Well, a couple things. Next week, I do some advocacy work with Michael J. Fox, and we're speaking to our congressperson's legislative group. So we're going to tell them about, ask them to keep increasing funding for Department of Defense, because I forgot if they said they're asking for 9 billion or if their budget's 9 billion. I'm not sure which one, but either way, we're asking for more money. And then about a week after that, I'm going to Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, which is one of the more known universities. I go there about once a year or so often for Parkinson's research.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I've done smell tests, I've done neurological tests. This time, they're going to tape a bunch of sensors to me and have me walk around and do different things just to look for gait issues or such.
I found a weird thing this week because my sister came back from India for a short period. She's going back today to finish up her program, and she's doing a spiritual yoga thing in India. She'll be back in May, and she finally got through a social worker and another nurse telling my dad that he needs to look into getting his VA benefits. Now, my dad's retired military after 28 years, almost 29 active duty, but he was also in Vietnam and he was exposed to Agent Orange, and he never looked into that side of the benefits
Mm.
because he figured he had a second career as a director of security and safety for a hospital, and so he had, they had a lot of money saved up, and so they figured, he didn't want to take away money from people who really needed it, was pretty much my
I'll
dad's
take it.
attitude. So, but the nurse, a a palliative nurse for my mom, and the social worker said, but the VA gives benefits when you're getting older that no other insurance will give, for like
Sure.
mobility aids, for scooters, um, uh, what do you call it, like transition stuff for the car. So, for both of them, and a lot of home health care stuff, like personal aids and that kind of stuff that usually insurance doesn't pay for, VA will, and especially Agent Orange. Now, what when I started doing my research, my mom told me that they were starting. Well, they were they were kind of not. They were trying to tread lightly because of the Camp Lejeune issue,
Hmm.
where, if I don't know if you've heard, like if you had been
Oh
in Camp
yeah.
Lejeune, yeah,
I get many
because
phone calls asking me if I was at Camp Lejeune. I say no, go Army.
yeah, and so but they've now, because one of the things with Agent Orange, there's a whole list of diseases with Agent Orange that
Hmm.
my dad has had, which is hypothyroidism. Then he got thyroid cancer. Then he has hypertension. He has kidney disease. He has diabetes. All of those are listed under Agent Orange. And another one is Parkinson's. And
Hmm.
now they're starting to see Parkinson's in second and third generations of Agent Orange exposure from Vietnam. And so, yeah, that's like opening Pandora's box pretty much. Um, and I don't think the military really wants to do that, but
Well,
somebody
I have
is.
a case against the VA because when I was in the Army in basic training, I was at Fort McClellan, Alabama for about 5 months. And I guess supposedly that was used to be a chemical facility as well. And there's a lot of chemicals that were spilled or dumped. But it's been like 3 or 4 years. I don't necessarily think anything's going to come of it, but it's
Mhm.
frustrating because the wheels of the government turn very slow, almost backwards.
Yeah, what was
I
it?
see it. There's only three things they need to do: prove I was in the army, which I can; prove I have Parkinson's, which I can. And then the only question is, at my age, well, 56 when I was diagnosed, is there any relationship between being there for 4 to 5 months and my Parkinson's? To me, that's the only question, and I can't seem to get an answer to that, which is frustrating. On
And
my
my dad.
end, I don't really care too much about myself, but if it turns
Mhm.
out that there is a relationship between my Parkinson's and there, that sort of opens the door to a lot of other service members who were at Fort McClellan and possibly have neurological
Mhm.
diseases.
Yep. And also, if my dad does qualify for Agent Orange after he passes, my mom will get a lot of benefits, and then me, my sister, and my brother will also get benefits as well, being
Right.
survivors. And so, but you know, you know, put marking it to Parkinson's is going to be tough because that'll open a whole,
Right.
whole other set of issues, and who knows. But my dad was right in the middle of it. I can't remember the name. Pan. I can't remember. I got it in my phone. I don't have my phone by me right now. But he was right in the middle of where that Agent Orange was. You
Oh,
know.
well, one of the first time I got denied benefits, they said because I couldn't show a relationship to Agent Orange. So I called the lawyers that were handling the case. Said, "Of course I can. I was only 7 years old at the time. If I can show a relationship between myself and Agent Orange, that's gonna be because I don't remember being in Vietnam. I just don't recall that. But it's been for me. Oh, another thing that is very, very exciting. And I hope I've been invited to apply, which is kind of silly, to become what's called a consumer reviewer for the Department of Defense. They take, it's like a roundtable discussion and they select people from the community. And I've been asked to apply for that position, which
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
just means I had the opportunity to apply. So I'm seeing
That's
how that
awesome.
turns out. That's
That'll
the
be
one I think I
cool.
would like, because I like to give everybody a little piece of my mind, if you will, just a
Oh,
little
I would
piece. I
love
don't.
to be a part of that. I would love for dependents. I would, I was a dependent, military dependent, I think 36 or 37 years out of my 54 between being a daughter and a wife. So I would, I even know Fort Carson, their water was contaminated. And, so I would love to be
Hey,
able
you
to be a
keep
part of
talking
that.
for 2 minutes. I'll be right. I gotta grab something. I'll be right there. 2 minutes.
Okay, no problem. Yep. How is everybody today? It's been, I'm sorry you haven't seen me in a little while. It's been a little bit of a rough couple weeks. My mother was hospitalized. She has end stage COPD. Love her to death. Hey mom, if you're watching at any time, she does watch the show. She'll listen because she is attached at her computer to her hip. Um, and I remember I posted a little thing on Facebook to Pretty Woman. She loves Roy Orbison. Loves. That's probably her favorite singer, either between Roy Orbison or Paul Simon. So, and I
All time.
posted, yeah, she loved that Graceland album, Graceland. But I put it to Old Pretty One, and I put some really nice current pictures and then some older pictures. I put her senior class picture. I have a lot of her older pictures. My grandmother never gave away anything, so I've got a lot of her senior pictures or pictures from the
Hmm.
70s, and you know, I even found a cassette tape. I kid you not, that my mom had sent her had sent my grandmother for Christmas that had our whole family, my mom, my dad, my sister, brother, and me. I must see. My sister was probably 3 or 4. My brother was a year younger than her, and I was probably like 9 or 10, and we were all talking on there, and my mom sounded so sweet, and she still had her accent, and she sounded like a little
Hmm.
hillbilly girl, and my dad still had his accent. I'm like, oh my gosh! So it was really cool to hear it. And then I found another cassette tape that had my grandmother and my great grandmother singing "Amazing Grace," and
Oh,
so yeah,
cool.
yeah, my grandmother sounded like Minnie Pearl. She had that strong of an accent. If I'm dating myself here, but hee
Hmm.
haw, she. I remember being afraid of my great grandmother, though. She was a tough woman. Ollie Wingo. I remember she was in her 90s when she passed away in 1989, and she snuck out of the hospital room to smoke.
Hmm. My
Yeah, she.
grandmother on my mother's side was a force to be reckoned with. Don't
Mm-hmm.
mess with May Randall.
Yep, that
I didn't
was the
know my
way.
grandmother on my father's side though. And she died when I think I was like 3.
Yeah, it's really cool because This is where my grandmother lived her last years, but the old house is up the holler. If you go up the holler, it's up on the hill. A holler is just a road up a mountain, and
Yeah.
technically a holler from one place to the other. But if you go up to the old house, it's really cool. And my great grandmother used to live down here at the bottom of the hill, and then like I said, she passed away in 1989 and still did not have indoor plumbing in her house.
Wow.
Hmm. And then there was a hello, our Adon is on, and
I could not
she,
live without hot water.
she had a this is why I always say pecans, because she had a pecan under the bed that was a
Pecan, is that pecan or walnuts?
no, it was a pecan. It was a can that you pee in, and she had the outhouse. And there was a dairy that was built into the mountain, and she pumped water from an outside well. And my grandparents on the top of the hill, they had indoor plumbing. So I'd go. There used to be a path, but it was really cool. I don't know if you know, you're kind of northern, but there's a stuff called kudzu. They call it the what mile a day weed. This stuff is
Hmm.
crazy. So, but Jim's been cutting back the kudzu, and he found a rock wall on the side of the property that my
Found the rock wall?
rock wall that my great grandfather had built. I'd never known my great grandfather. I think my mom was 12 when he passed away. And so he's been slowly uncovering it. And there used to be a church at the corner right here. That's where my parents were married at. And it was a little
Hmm.
1 room church. And there used to be 2 outhouses, one for men, one for women for the church. Yep.
We've advanced as a society, indoor plumbing.
But I remember using an outhouse. So way back in the day.
Mm.
It's
Only
really,
porta
I mean,
potties for me.
porta potty. Yeah, those are porta potties are one thing, but yeah. Outhouses are completely different. I think there was probably 3 outhouses up at the old house. I say old house because half the back of it's fallen in. But yeah, how has your Parkinson's been feeling this week?
Actually, sometimes, I feel, I don't, this may sound weird, I feel like a fraud at times because I was diagnosed 8.5 years ago. I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
wait a second. I take it's been 3 hours since I took my meds and there's very little there.
Uh-huh.
Well, what I have mostly is, I don't know if I'll show you this. My left thigh or calf gets really sore, and I put just basically an elastic type wrap on it, and it sort of helps with the pain a little bit. I don't know exactly why it happens, but my theory is when your brain does not recognize pain unless the nervous system tells you you have pain. And if you think of the nervous system kind of as a tube or piping going from the whatever the nervous is to the brain, if you can contract that by putting like something tight around it, maybe it reduces the flow to the brain. That's my only thought, which is based on absolutely no empirical evidence, just something. Because I have to try to figure out things in my head. It just makes my life better.
I always say that dyskinesia doesn't hurt, but I've had when I'm under stress and with my mom being sick and stuff, I've had such bad dyskinesia the last couple days. It's like I found out it does hurt. It wears my body down. I'm like today I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I can
no dis.
imagine constantly moving. It's
It's
like, is
just
it like a weight loss program?
I have what I'm under 200 pounds for the first time in about 30 years.
Well, that's
So
great. I dropped like 7 pounds recently. My
yeah,
birthday's in April. I'm trying to get down to right now. I'm just about 228. Last couple of years with back surgery and hip replacement, I really haven't been able to exercise as much as I like. But now I'm back into it. I've lost like good 7, 8 pounds.
so what are we gonna do for your birthday? My birthday's in May. So what are we gonna do for
Mine's
yours?
April 16th, the day after taxes are due.
Mine is Cinco de Mayo.
Hmm.
So what would you like to do for your birthday?
You know, I don't mean this in a weird way, but birthdays don't mean anything to me. It's just, in a sense, it's just another day. My son is 31. I didn't really feel old until he turned 30, because then I can no longer say I have kids they're in their 20s. Okay? When you say that, you can still be relatively young. But when you say you have a kid in his 30s, then you feel you're a little bit older. But my
Ugh.
son's in Philadelphia now. I'm going to say his partner. I don't know how to describe her. I don't know how the kids describe things nowadays, but his
Partners.
partner, and she's at work getting an MBA. So he is working remotely, and they're both like an hour and a half from here. So ideally, my daughter may be here in April. I have to confirm that, but ideally, I would just like to go out and have hamburgers and then come home and play Mexican Train with them. I love Mexican Train. I love hamburgers, but just would make my birthday good is be able to just spend it together with my family.
That's how I feel too. I thought I because February 1st my son turned 30. I really felt old. And
Hmm.
my daughter will be 17 and or she'll be 18 in December. And that's gonna make me feel really old. So and I was like, but that's what it is for me too. I'm
Is your
praying my
daughter a
mom.
junior or senior in high school?
She's a junior.
She's a
She'll
junior.
be a
Okay.
senior. Yeah, she'll be a senior in the fall. Um,
Sorry.
and so and she's at school right now, but she loves school, and um, just her going to college and all that stuff coming up, and which, um, lot to think about and a lot of decisions to be made. And but no, physically I felt better. Um, except for I had a lot of dyskinesia. I haven't had any dystonia this week, which is amazing.
Mm.
I do have an appointment coming up on the 18th of this month for my Botox and my checkup, and then I have pain
Mm.
management. 3 appointments all on the same day, so I don't have to go back and forth a
Wow.
lot.
Well, I like to tell people Parkinson's affects more than just a person with Parkinson's. It affects your entire family. And as you
Mhm.
just well noted, everything that's going on, you just can't put your life on hold
Yep.
and say, I got to take care of my family.
Yeah, it's because I know actually dyskinesia affects my husband and my daughter more than it affects me. Because, like I said, it really doesn't hurt at the time. It hurt, it makes my body sore, it makes me very tired afterwards. But it embarrasses them if I'm in public, especially my daughter. She'll rush me through
Yeah,
the.
I can see that, and that's one of my fears if I if I have dyskinesia, is where I don't want people looking at me. If that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, I don't know. I don't. ca- I can usually talk my way out of it.
Yeah, just like
I
I'm
usually.
drunk.
Well, actually, there is a T-shirt that says "I'm not drunk. I have Parkinson's." You can
That's
get it on.
funny.
You can get it on Amazon, and I thought I'm just wearing that when I go out. Erica said, "Don't wear that. That's so cringe." Um, or just I usually just go out and sit in the car. Which
Yeah.
that hurts. That hurts my feelings more. But most of the time, I
Yeah.
don't go out, or I'll go out by myself. So.
Mm. Well, I play pickleball a lot now, and there's like
Mhm,
three different groups I play with, and I've become friends with most of them.
mhm,
And one of the things I've always struggled with is, do I tell them I have Parkinson's? Because again, I don't have all these Parkinson's features, and I was afraid of that, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to be seen as Tom, the guy with Parkinson's. I just wanted to be seen as
right.
Tom. And to a lot of that thing, I still want to be seen as Tom. I don't want to be known as Tom with Parkinson's. Again, not that it's just a personal thing, because I want people to see me for who I am, not what they think they are. But telling the people in pickleball is interesting. No one's really. It didn't change anything. Which if I'm playing a bad game, I'm playing a bad game. It's not because I have Parkinson's. It's because I'm playing a bad game.
Right. It's bad. And it's hard to accept that, that's part of who you are. And it was really weird the other day. One of my son's friends, my son is working to be a youth minister. Well, that's what he went to school for. And he met this guy in school, and he's a very sweet guy, and he, really believes in healing. And of course, I believe in healing too, but this guy is like over the top. And
Mm.
he laid hands on me, and he wanted to, pray that God would heal my Parkinson's. And I believe God can, but I know I have this disease for a reason. And
Mm.
I was trying to explain that to him, and he's like, well, God doesn't want anybody to be sick. And I'm like, and I'm thinking back in the Bible. I mean, even Paul had a thorn in his side. He never explained what it was, but and I remember him praying and praying, and he just looked at me, and and nothing was changing. And he goes, "Have you accepted that you have Parkinson's?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like, but I said the Bible also says by your testimonies or by your trials or the stuff that you go through, that will help other people. And I said that's what I feel like that's what my purpose is. I have Parkinson's to help other people that have Parkinson's. And I said, you know, that's part of God's ministry too. I mean, God, Jesus had to die on the cross, and he had to, you know, to come back and say, "Hey, look what I had to go through. If Jesus had to go through that,
Mm.
why do you think you don't have to go through anything?" That's kind of how I felt about that. But
At times I kind of struggle with the concept of an all-powerful, loving God and reality.
hmm it's well, it the best way I think of it is that he's an all powerful, all loving. But when he gave us free will, that's when everything else came into play. He
Sure.
does let that's the free will and evil, you know, there is an enemy. And when the evil came into the world and God gave us free will, then, that's when the rest of it came into play. And God loves us enough to give us the choice to either love him or don't, you know.
Hmm.
He would rather us make the choice to love him than force us to, if that makes any
Sure, I can
sense.
appreciate that aspect.
So
I
I
just, it was funny. The night I was officially diagnosed was a Wednesday. I remember it was a Wednesday night in February, and I was late in the afternoon. So we came home, we had dinner, and I said, I'm going to bed early. And I
mhm,
was just laying there watching TV, and I had TV Land on. And I watched an episode of Archie Bunker and then another
mhm,
episode of Archie Bunker. And I said
mhm,
to myself, I'm going to watch one more show, and then I'm going to call it a night. And I swear, pardon the expression, swear to God, that the next
mhm.
show was the theme song to Michael J. Fox and Family
Yep,
Ties.
that was God saying hello.
And I just looked at the ceiling and said, it ain't fucking funny.
and that
It ain't
and
funny.
and that's how, and honestly, that's how I talk to God sometimes. I'm like, really? And it's weird because, I don't believe, well, of course, I mean, I believe some people's prayers can be those, oh, dear Heavenly Father. No, I talk to God like I'm talking to you. I'm like, and I'll say, I'll even say, what the F is going on?
So I
Or I
always say
can't,
it's in jest. God
I
must be a
can't,
very intelligent person if you talk to him like you're talking to me. That's just a bad joke.
he is. And I think you are too. And honestly, I think, um, I think you were put into my life at this point in time. I consider it a divine intervention. So because there are people that are put in your life at a certain time that you need them. So, and
Hmm.
I don't ask why.
I jokingly
I'm
say,
just
because someone once
very
asked me,
thankful
someone asked me once, do you ever doubt yourself? I'm like, every moment of every day.
every
I just don't
moment of
let my
it.
doubts run my life and determine my life. And just because I like to be stupid, funny, and I'm like I say, everybody needs a little Tom Gazantino in their life. Because I want to live life, especially now with Parkinson's. I mean, the Davis Finney thing, live the best life you can. That's what I want to do. And by nature, I like to think I'm a humorous guy. Not so much funny because I think more humorous because I like to take different concepts and sort of stitch them together and find the humor in that.
Yep.
One of the ambassadors once said to me, he goes, I always thought you were, you weren't really a deep thinker and you just told jokes. I'm like, I'm a very deep thinker and I don't tell jokes. I do humor.
Yep.
Finding, one of the, so this is when I first started there, everyone has an expertise. If you go into Davis Finney ambassadors, you'll see everyone has a list of expertise. And we had like so many of them. So we wanted to consolidate it down. It's like I call it the Baskin Robbins theory. You walk in Baskin Robbins, you got 51 flavors to choose from. You can't make a decision. So narrow it down to like to what those things are. So we narrowed it down to a lot. And then when they had the list though, the list was alphabetically of expertise. And under C, the last thing under C was constipation. And many people have constipation issues because of the Parkinson's and the dopamine.
Hmm.
And so, but then the first one under D was drooling. And it occurred to me, and I said out loud, is, well, here you got a case of not enough coming out of one end and too much coming out of the other. And that's the thing I like to do is seeing two somewhat unrelated issues and make it some of a connection, a humorous connection to the two of them.
Yep. And that's what it is. And it's like, I know we were talking off camera before, and apathy being a very
Yeah,
strong, I mean,
I've had a lot of that recently.
yeah, a very strong uh symptom of Parkinson's. I remember my mom noticed apathy in the mask like or Parkinson's face. Because I remember Erica when we first went to Minneapolis, and one of the first comments she made, "Why do you all have the same face?" It's that, because my
I
mom
thought you meant
noticed
I look like George Clooney.
my mom noticed, that my face wasn't as emotive as it used to be. And she thought it was on like too much Ativan or too much
Mm.
anti-anxiety medications. Like, nope. And and I didn't realize what it was at the time, but it's the apathy and it's the mask-like face. And
Mm.
people think you don't feel, or you don't, or you're not empathetic. And I'm a very empathetic person, but it just, that apathy can kick you in your butt, especially when
Yeah,
you're getting, and people like you help me keep me in check because I need somebody to kick my butt. My sister does that too. My sister's that person in my family that's always done that. But she doesn't do it to, like, in meanness, and neither do you. You do it, in a caring, where I know where it's coming from, where it's in caring.
well,
And I
what's
had to learn.
interesting is there are times when I was working, I was the type A personality and I just cut to the chase. And sometimes I find myself wanting to do that now, but I realize I can't. And, but, I used to call it when I used to manage restaurants as well as some other things. But I used to tell people when I was really upset with them, I'd take them into the freezer and we turn the fan off and we close the door. And, remember there's an old joke thing that if you scream in space, nobody hears you. Well, if you
Mhm.
scream in a freezer locker in a restaurant, nobody hears you either.
Right.
But I would just those are my moments at times where I just was very direct. This is what I need. You can do it. Let's just go out there and do it. Don't make me lock you up in the freezer.
I remember talking to, well, I used to work at McDonald's, and when I became a manager, yeah, I remember taking a couple crew people into the walk-in, and yeah, I did that. Oh, okay.
Well, I've always been even
Got a call.
now. One of the
I
reasons
wanted
I
to.
wanted to be an ambassador is I always felt like I had something to teach. Even like when I was in restaurant management, I would hire somebody, and my job it was mostly fast food type restaurants or semi-casual, if you will. I say my job isn't to teach you how to flip hamburgers and make French fries. Anybody can do that. What I want to help you do is learn how to come into work with a positive attitude, a clean uniform, the, the ability to ask for more responsibility. That's what I want to hopefully teach you so you can get the hell out of the restaurant and go find yourself a real job as opposed to like a line cook.
Okay, we have a comment from Gary. Is it Stenshorn? So I wanted to share information. For 15 years, I was a professional wrestler on the independent. So I've been retired for 10. Well, officially on Sunday, I wrestled my 25th anniversary match and my last one, and got to leave my boots. Um, Sometimes I wish it was with my Parkinson's, um, but I did it with it. So he was a wrestler, and he had to, retire from wrestling because of Parkinson's. So he
Well,
just wanted to.
it's funny. I didn't realize I didn't see the comments because I had the private chat clicked, and now I'm reading the comments. So the Aiden, he says you're really slowing down. Well, Aiden, if I need to, I can talk really fast. However, when I talk really fast, I just sort of get manic about it, and I don't want to be manic. I want to slow it down, have a
Well,
more
I think he's
intelligent
doing
conversation.
it for me because he knows I've had a rough week.
So, but generally, it's interesting that you say that because part of me, I find that, especially when I started to get into not a heated, but a conversation that's not a normal conversation, I start talking faster. I start getting really engaged, and I try to acknowledge that and make sure that it's something I'm cautious of, and I'm not doing that. 'Cause someone once asked me if I was manic. I said, no, I'm not manic. I'm just me.
No, he's doing it for me. Don't let him
I'm
snow
being
you.
calm, cool, and collected.
Well, you can still
So,
keep
Gary,
moving. You can still keep
I got a
moving.
quick question for Gary. So, one of the things sometimes I wish for, so I'm not sure how long you've had Parkinson's or what year you were diagnosed, your own year. But the question I've always had was there are people like David Svenny, who was a world-class athlete. There's people like yourself, who was a professional wrestler in the Grand Foundation. He was a basketball player. And they say exercise can reduce the progression of Parkinson's. So I've always wondered, especially people who have young onset who are athletic, if they weren't athletic, would their Parkinson's have started earlier? And that's the question I don't think I can ever get the answer to. But that always in the back of my head, I'm thinking, like, remember there was a runner named Jim Fix, I believe, or Jim Kicks. He was
Hmm.
an ultra marathon. He died of a heart attack. And people's like, if
Hmm.
someone like that has a heart attack, I mean, but maybe he lived an extra 5 years because he was such a great athlete. His heart, but those are things that I wonder about. I wonder about a lot of things, and that's part of my
Yeah.
issue at times. I got so much going on in my head.
Yeah, they say you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with Parkinson's.
So
And
Richard Lewis passed away yesterday, right? The
oh,
comedian.
did he?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
so
didn't know
what was
that.
interesting is they did say he died of a heart attack, but then they also said in this year he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. They really didn't make a connection per se that the Parkinson's caused it, but they used it in the same paragraph, which I think to
Mhm.
the average person they may infer that one of the reasons he had the heart attack is because of Parkinson's. And that's for people who are listening. There's an old saying that you die with Parkinson's, not from Parkinson's.
Yeah,
And I
because look
just
at Michael J. I mean, it's like it's Michael J. will die of something else. Okay, he put
there was
this
a
past
TV.
November. I was diagnosed. He was diagnosed past November with Parkinson's. How was your retirement from 10 years from professional coming back because my friends asked me to do one match with them, and I was
Hmm,
there with people that I trusted and trusted me.
that's great.
Yeah, wrestling can be dangerous, and so I can understand, especially with brain and stuff, and you could get
Yeah.
TBIs and stuff like that, traumatic brain injuries.
Well, it's funny in pickleball, there's a lot of concern because most people are older and we don't backpedal anymore to try to get a ball that's lobbed over our head. And we don't run. If I see someone my age or older running to return the ball, I yell at them. It's like it's just a game. It's just a
Yeah,
point. Don't put.
like,
I had the mistake once of backpedaling and I lost my balance. And thank God the wall behind me stopped my fall. But that was a slight sprained wrist became of that.
well, since you're newly diagnosed, I would definitely find a good movement disorder specialist and find a an exercise that you do like, because I mean there is boxing for Parkinson's, which would be good, probably good for you. There's pedaling for Parkinson's that through the Davis Finney Foundation. Be careful if you go on the internet because there's a lot of junk science on the internet. There's only I will I will post on there the websites that me and Tom we do trust. There's only a few, that I would really go to on a regular basis. Find a support group if there's one. If there's not one near you, find one online. We do post live every Thursday. Um, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as my grandmother used to say. So,
So
we'll
Gary, I
try.
want to throw something out to Gary. If I do the math right, I think you're relatively young because you were 15 years as a wrestler and 10 years retired. That's 25 years. My assumption is you were wrestling in your early 20s, perhaps. That puts you in your mid 40s. And if you are what we call young onset, there's a website, a young lady who does a terrific job with young onset. Her name is Anna Grill, ANNA Grill, like outdoor grill, Anna Grill. And she started the YOPD, Young Onset Parkinson's Disease Group, and it's absolutely wonderful. She's just a force to be dealt with. 53. Okay, so you were like, I guess I was diagnosed when I was 56, and I consider myself a tweener, not quite young onset, but not quite older.
I
Uh,
was 41
but
or 42.
but I love Anna Grill's website, ANNA Grill.
Yeah, she's great.
And if anyone out there is looking for exercise or how to exercise, there's a gentleman. I'll put his name in the
Oops,
chat. Daniel Corcus,
I can't spell this morning.
DAN. Whoops. Oh, I got to connect my account to join the live chat. So, Katrina, could you put in the name Daniel Corcus, Corcos?
Okay, can you spell it for me?
Daniel, his last name is Corcus, Corcos.
The guy we had on.
Yes.
Oh, D
So
A.
I've had the pleasure of knowing Daniel for about a year and a half now. He does nothing. He's a physical therapist by training, but he works for Northwestern University in Chicago, and his whole thing is in Parkinson's research. And there's so much information that he has about exercise and Parkinson's. and brain activity and how it slows down the
Daniel Corcus.
progression.
Daniel
Yeah.
Corcus, what?
Oh, you just got to Google Daniel Corcus and he'll pop up.
Okay.
So back to like the mania or manics. So I had said this to Daniel once, and you and I were meant to be together because we're the alpha and omega. He looked at me and goes, "Well, I'm the alpha because my last name starts with COS, and you're omega because your last name ends with COS. We were meant to do this together." And he just laughed and looked at me and just sort of shook his head like most people.
Well, Emmett put us together because I was asking for help or a co-host to do
I
the
still
to
not
record.
seeing ever because of that.
I asked for a co-host to do the podcast with, and he suggested you.
Oh, I'm
When
never
I
shy
put
of a conversation.
when I put DPF.org, that's Davis Finney Foundation. Davis Finney used. He was an Olympic cyclist. He won a bronze medal in the LA Olympics in '84, and then he had young onset Parkinson's as well. Me and Tom are both ambassadors for the Davis Finney Foundation. We the podcast is not under their umbrella, but
Yeah,
they do.
we just happen to be ambassadors for them, and we reference them quite a bit. But here's
Yeah.
another thing. This is my big thing too now. There's a book that came out, Parkinson's: How to Reduce Symptoms. And I don't know if you can read the name, but the last name is Meldrum, Meldrum.
Yeah, you can go
She
on
wrote this
YouTube
book.
and our old our old podcast, and we actually got to talk to the author of that book.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I'll show you these two pictures. The gentleman on the opposite side of my finger, that's Daniel Corcus. And the gentleman with my finger here is Dr. Albert. Now, he's interesting because he's at the Cleveland Clinic. I think the urban legend is that he took a friend out for cycling on a bicycle built for two. A friend had Parkinson's. And he noticed that when he finished the ride, his Parkinson's symptoms were less. And that started the whole research into cycling and Parkinson's and pedaling for Parkinson's. And for the most part, it all happened because he took somebody out on a bicycle built for two, which is kind of cool. If it's a true story, it's really cool.
Oh, I can't type for nothing today. I apologize.
But I like to say too, with me particularly, I know when I'm exercising or riding my bike, my Parkinson's symptoms seem to go away.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
put
good.
Michael J. Fox, Mayo Clinic, Parkinson's Foundation, ADPA what does that stand for? I never can remember.
Oh, shit.
I know it's Parkinson's Association. I know it's the last. They had ADPA has a good list of support groups all over the
This
country.
is where I'm having a Parkinson's moment.
Oh yeah, I have multiple Parkinson's moments all day long. Oh, in fact, I'm gonna move to the bedroom.
Oh, it should be APDA. So in the list of, it should be AP, American Parkinson's Disability Association, APDA.
Okay.
That's a great organization.
I'm taking you with me.
Well, I'm getting dizzy watching you. What are you doing?
Going in the bedroom.
Like you're walking on an angle. Or you're on a Titanic and everything's shifting. Folks, this is the beauty of live. I have to say live television, but this is the beauty of live podcast.
Yep. I'm showing getting my books. They have Parkinson's Disease for Dummies, which is actually, it's really good. It has a lot of really good information.
I love the Dummies series. And
this is what we call the Bible mine's all beat up, from Davis Finney Foundation. It's really, really good. And they have a Care Partners one too. But
And you know,
it's
if you
like
want to
every,
get one, if you just Google Davis Finney EVC for every victory count, it'll take you right to the website, Davis Finney EVC.
and you can download the ebook or you can get the actual book.
I love downloading it because to
For
me it's
free.
much easier. Yeah, and then you're not carrying around a telephone book. But like more importantly, if you're doing a support group meeting and you want to, those books are hard to get because they're expensive to print. If you have the downloaded version, if you want to talk about say chapter 3, you can just go print pages, whatever, 13 through 18 and print it out, and then you could just scan it or email it to everybody, however you want to do it. So I
Yep.
think it's more, I really like the digital, even though I've got probably 50 of those books in my car.
Oh, I should see all the. I can't believe they sent me so many books. I'm like, good Lord.
How many did they
Oh,
send you?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cases.
There's 11 in each case. You have 88 books.
Well, some of them are the Care Partner books. But
Oh, okay. You good?
yeah, I'm good.
That's quite the workout.
Yes, it is. I was gonna do outside today, but it's too sunny and too bright. You couldn't see
We're
me.
sunny and 43 degrees. You know, being a geek, when we live 4 miles west of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. So as we're driving to the ocean, I like to look at the temperature gauge on the car, and it will start like maybe it's 38 degrees. We get halfway there, it's now 36 degrees. We get down to the water, it's like 34 degrees. And you get out of the car, and the wind coming off the ocean makes it feel like it's 20 degrees.
It's 44 here, so we're close.
Hmm.
And sunny. Somebody's out mowing the lawn today. I can hear him.
You okay there?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just, it's one of those weeks.
Yeah.
It's,
Sometimes, as
it's,
much as I exercise, I find myself walking up the stairs and I get slightly winded.
yeah. But one thing I learned from my mom, her saturations go down going to the bathroom. She's winded just going to, get a glass of water. She goes down into the 60% on her oxygen saturation. So I can't complain too much.
So I don't know
But
if you heard my phone ring, but I'm playing this silly game right now because I made the mistake of clicking something about more information on Medicare, and they must have farmed it out to 1 million people. And so now what I do is I answer the phone, I put it on speaker and I put it on mute, and I just don't do it. I wait to see if they say anything, and after like 20 seconds, they just say no.
Okay, Gary has a question. Do you find hot tubs helpful for your Parkinson's? If you have muscle aches, like I do, yes, very much so. That and massages. And I used to have a lady when I lived in Colorado. She was going to massage school, so I was her guinea pig. Oh my gosh, I miss her very much. So 3 times a week.
The house we bought, we have a hot tub in the back of our house and a porch, and it's really, I tell you what, it's when your body is sore, it's really good. Same with the soaking tub. It's just really, it takes out the soreness. Although I would advise against the soaking salts that have hibiscus in there. My wife gave me some in the tub, and it's like these little like hibiscus leaves just flowing in all of it. I felt like it was in some dirty water.
Yeah, you have to keep it very clean, that kind of thing. But yeah, if you can afford it, then go. They even have these blow up ones at Walmart and stuff. I know it's not good for my mom anymore, but I told her to get a walk. She redid her downstairs bathroom, and she has a walk-in shower with like the bench all around. But she needs like a walk-in tub with like the hydrotherapy with like the bubbles and stuff.
Well, I have this sort of ending discussion because if you it goes up to like 105 degrees, which is too hot because after like 10 minutes, you're not supposed to be in there. So I like to, in the summer, I try to drop it down to more like 90 degrees. That's it,
Mhm.
just warm enough, but I can spend some additional time.
Soft tubs are the inexpensive um, kind. They can get at Walmart or Yep. Soft tubs, that's what they're called.
So I'm assuming a soft tub would be outside, and how do you fill it with hot water? You get yourself a really long hose.
Yeah, it's weird. Or well, we have a back deck kind of thing.
It's like a water bed.
We have a big back porch deck. So actually, a hot tub would fit on our back
Yeah.
deck. We've thought about it or extending the back deck. Let's see, same thing as a hot tub. It's just blow up kind, and yeah, it's a blow up kind.
Let's see if I
We've
can get
thought
a
about it.
picture. Oops.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
covered.
I got these pictures.
Our back porch is covered. Or, you know,
Okay, where's my back porch?
yeah. Our excitement this week was that my second cousin
Okay.
was arrested for squatting. Finally,
For what?
squatting.
Oh,
He's
squatting. I
living.
think that's.
No,
So
he's
there's my
living in this.
backyard or my back porch. Let's see. You can see in the back there's the big brown thing's a hot tub, and this is
Ooh,
from the previous owner. We've set it up a little bit differently, but he had put that he had
that's a
that whole
nice.
room added.
That would be the
Yeah.
way to do it. But I don't
So I
know
can
if we
tell you
can
what
fit
you
that.
don't want to do with a hot tub. And when we moved in here in the summer, so as the winter months came, we had relatively mild this January. I mean, relatively mild November, December, etc. January was a killer. We were having a hot tub. I got my January bill. And I told my wife, I'm throwing the breaker right now because it was like $600.
Wow. Oh, stupid phone. Sorry, had to hit the do not disturb on my phone.
Mm.
Oh, but whew.
Some is
Well,
just
I
as
know.
easy as a regular tub. Although I'm 6'2", like 220, I have to sort of at times like just baby pose, if you will. But the regular tub is it's we have a soaking tub as well, and it takes too long to fill up that soaking tub. And when I do, like I take all the hot water in the house.
Yeah, we're talking about getting a walk-in tub in the bathroom in the master bath. That's our
Hmm.
probably our big expenditure for the year. Um,
Yeah.
but yes, I know we didn't really have a topic for today. Today it's been kind of a rough week for me. So,
Yep.
but we do have some really good guests coming up. We have uh, uh, I'm blanking. Larry Gifford. He had one of the very first personal Parkinson's podcasts years ago called "When Life Gives You Parkinson's," and then he started. Then he was on the Michael J. Fox podcast, and now he is the CEO of PD Avengers. He just had DBS done a couple months ago, so he's coming up. Also, we have Gary Shaughnessy from UK, Parkinson's UK, coming up, and Patrick. I never can pronounce Patrick's last name, but he
Sajak?
is. No,
Pat Sajak?
no. It's Larusso. I always want to say Larusso because I think of Karate Kid, but he is a what do you call it? Personal trainer, and he has done exercises for Parkinson's. Like ever since DVDs were a thing, and I got his DVD years ago. Somebody had given it to me, and I still use it. They're very short exercises that kind of get me going until I can until I do my thing. And he runs an elder gym, and he's really he's very interesting. So I like his story too. So those are some of the. And what about you? What guests do you have coming in?
We've got. Have you heard of a lady called Twitchy Woman? Twitchy, Twitchy. She started a
Twitchy
podcast which
woman.
is very popular. And hopefully she's in Hawaii right now. She's twitching away in Hawaii. But when she gets back, we're going to have her on as well. But I've got something that's pretty cool too that I've been talking to them. I was working on a project called Project Event. And what the gist of it was, I was interviewed by a middle school class about Parkinson's and their job is not to actually make something, but to come up with an idea on how to help people with Parkinson's live a better life. So it was really great. These kids were just so smart and engaging, and they were also very serious and they came up with some really great ideas. Matter of fact, one young man, I told him, so as soon as you get that thing patented, I'm going to be your salesperson when we go to market with these things because it's so cool. But we're trying to get permission from the school and the parents to let these kids come on for a half hour, however long as they would like to come on. And just it's really exciting to work with the kids. And I always make a pitch that if you really like what you're doing here, go to the school, become a neurologist, become a movement disorder specialist because we need more.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we do have some things coming up, and we're also trying to expand the podcast. Look for that coming up. So we will be back next Thursday.
Same,
So
don't touch that bat station. Was it the same bat
same bat
time?
time, same bat station, same bat channel.
I can't remember
Yeah.
what I did yesterday, but I can remember that.
Yep, that's a short-term memory issue. You guys have a great week. I thank you so
You
much
do
from the
too.
bottom of my heart putting up with me this week. You have a great bye.
Bye bye, everyone.
Take care.
See you.